morning. Today I'm going to be talking you through how to answer a comparison poetry essay. Now these, I would suggest, are the same skills that you can apply for lower down in Key Stage 3 all the way up to Key Stage 4 as well. So this can apply to a GCSE poetry comparison response as well. Now the main advice I would give you is to keep it simple, because you've got a lot that's going on from each poem. There's many interpretations that can be made, many different themes that you can draw out. But the main thing that I ask you to do is just to make sure you're answering the question. Make sure that you're always linking to whatever that key word is in the question. So the way I would then structure a response is, first of all, write a brief introduction explaining how the two poems you're choosing are going to relate to the question and how they may be similar in the way they do that, or they may be conflicting in the way that they do that. Then I'd almost imagine my essay to have two sections to it. So section A is going to be everything about poem A, and you can break this down into smaller paragraphs as well. So I would probably suggest 2 chunky paragraphs for section A. So one way that poem A answers the question, and another way that it does it as well. And then, as you can see my line here, thinking about section B, talking about poem A. And the way that you're going to be able to make those comparisons is by using these sorts of words here, such as whereas poem B presents the theme in this way, or unlike poem A, poem B presents the idea of love in this way. On the other hand, by contrast, it's these words that are going to naturally allow you to form those connections and those comparisons back to poem A, because often what I'll see is students trying to combine both poems together, which is fine, but it can sometimes become a little bit tangled and messy. So I think if you keep it simple, do it well, it's not going to impact any marks. You know, you get the same marks however you present it, but I think that this is the most logical. And then with your conclusion, you're merely summing up what poem A has done with the main question, what poem B's done, are they similar, are they different, and ultimately what are the writer's intentions, what overall do you think that they were trying to achieve. But remember, we don't know 100% what the writer was thinking or feeling, so it's really important that we are tentative. And what I mean by that is that you're using words such as could, this may, suggest, perhaps, rather than declaring this is 100% why the writer or the poet presented this idea, because we just don't know that. So it's about getting into good practice really and thinking about how we acknowledge that a text has lots of different interpretations, and yours is an interesting idea, but it's not the only one. So what I thought I would show you is what this sort of chunky paragraph can look like. So in my class we've been focusing on poetry associated with place, a poem called Praise Song for My Mother by Grace Nichols and The Lake Isle of Innisfree by Yeats. And I've just picked out one sort of model as though I am in this section of my essay. So I'm in section A and I'm just talking about everything that relates to place. Now, Praise Song for My Mother is a poem which is all about the speaker coming to terms with the loss of her mother, but it's almost like the presence of her mother is very much poignant and still a huge part of her life, and it's like even through supposed death she's able to provide advice to the speaker. Now you'll notice what I'm referring to is the use of speaker. Now the speaker and the poet are two very different perspectives. We don't know that what the poet is writing is necessarily what they were feeling. Sometimes, particularly with Browning, he writes many dramatic monologues about characters that are certainly not related to his life in any shape or form. So it's really important that we refer to the person that the poem's point of view is from as the speaker, or alternatively the persona, the poet's persona. So I'm going to talk you through what I've written, and I'm going to sort of analyse it as I go and sort of break it down for you. In Nichols, notice my apostrophe after the S, in Nichols' Praise Song for My Mother, and what I've done here is, because it's quite a long title, and you can do this with any literary text, you can short it down by putting it into parenthesis, also known as the brackets, and just put, you know, a bit of a shorter way of doing it. So I'm now going to refer to the poem's title as Praise Song, and I'm still going to make sure it's in my quotation marks. So in Nichols's Praise Song, place is one way to keep the memory of the speaker's mother alive. So in order to write that topic sentence, I've made sure I've used the word place in it, and I've just really straightforward just said what she's doing with place. And for me, as I've said, place is used to keep the memory of the speaker's mother alive. Okay, I don't want to overcomplicate it, because it's really important that that topic sentence is straightforward, it's clear, it's concise, because then it's your argument's really clear. Now, to make this chunkier, what I've done is I've embedded my quotations, but I've also referred to lots of different methods that the writer is using, and each time I've always thought to myself, and why? Why is this method being used? What is it that you want to take away from it? So the first thing I've picked out is the types of imagery in the poem, which is quite unusual. She refers to her mum through images such as crab's leg, a flame tree, fish's red gill. Now, I've said here that they are very unique and random, yet personal to the speaker. So it kind of shows that the closeness of their relationship, because these are sort of images and codes that the average reader is not really going to understand. So once again, it makes that rapport between the two of them even more important. And if I wanted to go into more detail, I could use the pronouns to talk about that, as there is only references to you, I and me. So this reference to both first person pronouns and second person pronouns also limits the people that are responding to this poem. It's a very personal relationship that the speaker has with her mother. And I've also mentioned colour imagery in there as well. So first of all, if I'm thinking about methods, I've used imagery here and colour imagery, because we've got reds, this idea of fire and that sort of thing as well. The use of colour imagery and the references to senses, so sensory imagery, could convey, notice I was tentative here with my use of the word could convey how vivid and vibrant these memories are. So that's my reasoning for that. That's me answering why. Often senses can be evocative. So what I mean by that is sort of quite powerful and poignant and stimulating, to suggest that the mother's presence is everlasting. So once again, I'm explaining why. I'm saying that it's everlasting because if you think about it, often a smell can transport you right back to the past, and it's the power of the senses there, particularly with smell and taste. Furthermore, so my connective word here, furthermore, enjambment has been employed, which could convey how her mother's memory continues to be an influencing part of the speaker's life. So you'll notice here that I've used enjambment, but I've used it because once again I'm emphasising how this is keeping the mother's memory alive. It's not through the use of Caesura. So Caesura is when you have end stop lines, so random punctuation or full stops which break up the flow of the poem. The enjambment is also showing how the memory continues to occur over the lines in the poem. So these are linked ideas through the different methods. This combined with the present participle, so present participle is a verb in its continuous present, usually denoted by the use of ing at the end. So it's like the action is still ongoing. It's not sort of done and finished. It's fathoming, it's continuing. Like the idea of if you're driving, it's not you drove or kind of just in the past, it's continuing to occur. and the repetition of replenishing, so another method here, repetition of replenishing may highlight a sense of renewal to provide comfort to the poet's persona. So I've used persona there because I noticed that I was doing speaker quite a lot, so it just varies it up a little bit. But the main thing that I'd like you to take away from this is, whilst this can seem, wow, there's a lot going on here, what I've just done is I've thought about, well, what's my topic sentence? What is the main thing that I want to talk about in my paragraph? And it's about the fact that the memory of the mother is still alive. And I found that imagery, sensory imagery, colour imagery suggests that. Enjambment is also suggesting that because it's ongoing, it's continuous, and also the present participles. So it's about finding the different methods which all combine under the same topic sentence heading. So you want to imagine your paragraph almost like your topic sentence of your first sentence, what it is that you're writing, how is it going to answer the question, almost as your signpost, as thinking, here everyone, this is what I'm saying about the poem. And then your job is to think about the different methods which combine underneath that to emphasise the point that you're making.